Alright, what's up everyone? Welcome back to another clean video. Today we'll be cleaning my Eclipse 180R, and it is the Mando edition with the Mandalorian anodizing. Let's see, as you can see, got the laser engraving there, both sides. The anode's like a worn metal anodizing, and I replaced the stock trigger shoe there with the classic plain clips, like scythe style trigger on there. So yeah, so let's go ahead and get into it and start cleaning this up. It's not that dirty, kind of like the other videos I've posted of cleaning my markers, or I played with them. It's not that dirty, they don't get that dirty, so I just like to go through and do the typical run through, clean up the grips. I cannot stand dirty, filthy grips, just a pet peeve of mine. But yeah, we'll go ahead and get into it. So the first thing I always do is get the grips off. Let's see. So yeah, I always get the grips off, and then always scrub them down with a toothbrush. It's just something I've always done. Keeps them nice and clean. Keeps them fresh. I meticulously clean my markers. That's just something I've always done. But yeah, so let's go ahead. Here we go. Toothbrush. And like I said, they're not even dirty. I played at Capital Edge Paintball Park in Sacramento, California with this recently. And just wasn't that of a dirty day. Get that. And I just let that air dry. Do a little scrub down, let air dry. This water has about a cap's full worth of rubbing alcohol. There's barely any in it, just to kind of clean things up. Before I started cleaning my markers here, technically I'm in my closet, but I would clean the grips and things in the kitchen sink, Dawn dish soap and water, and just scrub it with a toothbrush as well, and they come out nice, fresh, black like that, just like when they're new. So there we go, those are already done. Next thing I do, pop off the eye covers. And then I always pop out the detent from both sides and just wipe those off. Always do a wipe off of all the old oil or grease, or any oils that are from the paint that you shoot. Paint's always kind of oily when it gets in the bags, you know. That stuff sits in the heat, cold, wherever they store it. So I always like to just get all the oils and debris and dirt and everything off of it. So we'll pull the bolt out, put that to the side right now. I always usually stick with the main body of the paintball marker. I'll pull the battery out. I don't like having batteries sit in my markers for a long period of time. That's just another thing that I just don't do. But you can see it's battery's only down about a quarter of the way. So we'll pop that out. I have this little pile of batteries that are still good for other days of play. I always pull out the battery usually after a day of play. It's been busy, and this one has sat for a while, so now we're getting to it. So here we go. but for the most part it is pretty clean already. Always run a swab through, usually dry first, just to get any like oil and grease out of there. And then I just do a small dippage into the water there, get the excess off, and then run it through. This will air dry as I'm cleaning it, so I don't have to worry about it being wet or anything as I continue to clean and then eventually put the bolt back in. Yeah, I like this Xano. I have two 180Rs, the Mandalorian edition, anodizing I guess, and the Boba Fett, both from ansgear.com. Most of my markers are from there, except for any of my older ones. Eventually you'll see those on the channel here, and I know I mentioned I'll do a like a video of showing all my markers. I mentioned before I have 16 of them, so it might be a long video, but I think it'd be kind of interesting. Next thing, get a Q-tip here and down in here where the barrel goes up against the body in there. I always run a Q-tip around that, and then on the flat part in there. And like I said, it's not that dirty, so it's just going to be a quick run through here. I do rub out the threads of the ASA here every time and get that black dirt grease out of there. And I always wipe off the threads of my tank too, so it's always free from that black grease dirt. And then I'll wipe off the outside of the body. I don't take apart the rag or anything unless there's an actual leak or I'm having velocity issues or anything like that. I greased it pretty well. And I don't use a whole lot of grease on my rags because I actually put just like a couple drops of Outlast 100% synthetic ultra lube premium gun oil, a couple drops in the ASA just to get through the rag there, and a little through the solenoid for the little O-rings and stuff in there. I know, everyone has their way of doing their cleanings and things and using grease and which grease to use and things like that. This has always worked for me for the last 20 plus years, so you can try it however, whatever works for you. This is what I do. It's always worked for me. It also could depend also on climate of your demographic location. I'm in the dry Nevada desert, northern Nevada, and so I don't have to worry too much about things freezing up much or anything like that. But in the winter it does get really cold here, so it just kind of depends. Using certain greases, the grease I'll oil the whole drive here and the bolt and all that is with Outlast HMP. This stuff, I don't even think they make this anymore, so this is kind of rare stuff. I like to use this. It's really like slick. You don't have to use a whole lot, and it just works really well. One grease I don't like to use is Dow 33. The Planet Eclipse lube and stuff like that. It works, and there's really no issues. I just don't prefer it. I know it can dry up and clump up and stuff in your markers if you don't maintain and stuff like that, but I've never had that issue because I don't use it. But then also people have never really had that issue either. I've just used to own a paintball store, and would maintain a lot of people's markers when they bring them in, clean them up, and that stuff would be crusty, nasty junk in markers. So it just kind of gave me a little traumatization, I guess you could say, of using that lube But for the most part, all lubes work just fine. You know, there's dye lube, which is usually the Dow 55. Yeah, the lube has kind of been a standardized thing now in the market. You know, back in the day, people would always try and use different lubes, and there used to be it's like a lube that was for shocks on a bicycle, I think, Slick Honey. I used to use that in a old Proto Matrix 6 that I had. That worked really well. It just depends. And then also there's different lubes that are thinner or more slick, I guess you'd say. Can help with lowering your velocity, because it'll your bolt will move faster, and then you'll have to lower your reg down a little. But you know, it just kind of all depends on what you like, where you live, where you're playing, all those things. So there's really no like set way to do it. Again, it's just whatever works for you. You know, that's a big debate. You know, oh, what lube to use? Oh, this is so much better, this and that, and what paintball marker? Oh, I like this, I like dye, I like that. You know, they're all great guns nowadays. It's really preference. You know, back before early 2000s, mid 2000s, it actually did kind of depend, because certain qualities were made of the markers. You know, some had higher quality versus others. Smart Parts was a really popular brand back then, but they used cheap anodizing, cheap aluminum. Bob Long Intimidators were really popular. You know, those are nice, flashy guns, markers, and you know, he came out with a new style all the time, and you know, that's eventually turned into the new generation of marker is now that, you know, Field 1 Force. But back then, you know, they were just trying to make them as fast as possible. So like the metal quality wasn't that great. They used real small screws that'd strip out if you weren't careful, stuff like that. It just, you know, let's be honest, us paintball players aren't the nicest on our equipment. But today's markers are light years past, you know, 20 years ago worth of markers, or you know, say at least 10 to 12 years ago for sure. Yeah, probably I'd say 24 years ago, you know, back in 2000, maybe in 23, 20, so it'd be 2000, 2001. There wasn't even really electronic markers back then, but there was Angels and some of the Shockers and stuff. They didn't have eyes or any of that stuff, but you know, there's a few out there. But yeah, so anyway, enough of that rant and rambling. We'll continue clean up the bolt here. I just wipe off all the old excess grease that's on there, and just start over every time. You don't have to. You know, some people just re-lube and keep rocking, but I mentioned before, I spent a lot of money on my markers, and I also just enjoy taking my time and cleaning them up and things like that. So I've decided I'd film it for whoever wants to watch. We'll go ahead, finish up the bolt here. There we go. Yeah, it's kind of, I don't know if you can see that in there, kind of dirty in there, but I'll just wipe that out. One of these days I'll use one of my older markers, and then you'll be able to see some of those that I have. I mentioned them in other videos, aka Viking, aka Excalibur, 2 excessive egos, couple E-bladed autocockers, one with a, it's either, well, one has a sci-fi board. Used to have the E1, it has the E1 frame on it, but then it had the 0B board in it. And then when Sci-Fi started coming out with boards, I got that board and put it in it. So I still have my 0B as a backup. But yeah, I have that. It's an Outcast. It's an Outcast body, WGP body, with the original E1 E-blade frame on it. Sidewinder rag, stuff like that. But I'll show you in another video when I clean that or use it and when I play locally, and have to clean it up. But for the most part, this is pretty clean. Always blow off the lint and stuff off the grips. We'll go ahead and pop these back on. I like the 180s. They feel ergonomically correct in my hands. This trigger, ever since I had a 2008 Ego, and Eclipse has been having this trigger on a lot of their markers for a lot of years, and now they've kind of switched back to the blade trigger style, which works fine. I have that on my other 180, but I don't know, this one just naturally feels good in my hands. The 180s are really comfortable to me. My what is it, LV2 is really comfortable. I think all the new age Plain Eclipse markers are pretty comfortable in the hands. The LV1 grip was a little weird. You know, it was like more wide down here, and I think that was just so you could like single shot hold it low. But I never really held my markers that way, so it just wasn't very comfortable overall. But I had an LV1, and then when the LV2 was announced, I immediately sold it, and to get as much money as I could for it, you know, before the price drops. And then waited for the LV2 anodizing. It was on the other cleaning video I did, that blue, like kind of almost like worn, rusted look. I didn't want to just get the standard colors. I honestly don't like the standard Plain Eclipse anodizing colors. They're more like the like fluorescent colors, I guess you'd say. You know, the pinks and the teals and turquoise and stuff like that. I don't really like that, so I was waiting for a anodizing that came out that I liked. It was either wait for something to come out, or I was going to have to send it into a place and get an anodizing that I liked or designed myself. But let's go ahead and get the grip back on here with the screws. The only thing I wish they would have done is somehow had the grips like lock, like the LV2 do. I know those are 2-piece grips and this is only the wraparound 1-piece, but it'd be cool if somehow they had those lock on here. Just because getting away from the screws would be nice. I know the screws hold the marker together, but also on this with the battery up front, you don't even really need to get in the grip, so honestly it doesn't matter. It's just my griping about it for ease of cleaning purposes. We'll go ahead and blast on the, oh no, what are we doing? We gotta put the detents in. And then the eye covers. So yeah, this one's going pretty quick because it wasn't that dirty. think the detents are wearing out. I have this extra one I found in my little work area here, but they'll work for now. I have a bunch more. They're just in the other cases for all my other markers, so I don't really want to pull it out right now. But I have this little off topic here. This is for this is actually a bicycle grip, like a BMX grip or whatever. I put it on my Field 1 Force, and I was gonna put it on my other Force, but I haven't yet. I'm kind of debating because the Cerakote one on the other video, it has the, you know, matching with the stars and stuff, and I like the whole America theme. And I was gonna pop this on there, you know, to cover that up though, so I haven't decided. I don't really want to do that, so I'm just kind of leaving it the way it is for now. But let's go ahead and grease this up. Before I do that, I'm gonna do this. This is just 1/2, obviously, of a thing, but this one's I thought it was really clean, but I just usually use this one to buff up, because this one, an old dye one, it's all nasty, and like I keep it clean, but the fuzz is sucky. So alright, let's go ahead and lube up here. I just put a little on each O-ring and then rub it all the way around with my finger. I put a little more on the actual moving bolt, just because if you're shooting a lot, you don't want to get bolt stick or anything like that. But with this lube, I have yet to have any bolt stick or anything like that. Gotta get the dog hair off as well. And then in here, there's that O-ring. I put a little on there, rub it around, and then I try to put some down in here, and then I will rub that in around there with my finger. And then from there I put some on the bolt as well. Not a whole lot, just like enough to do a thin coat and get on that O-ring a little bit. You don't want it to be a bunch of excess, but and again, this is how I do it. Everyone else can lube how they like it, but it's always worked for me. So yeah, pop that in there, screw this back together, and then I will do this O-ring. And because I have so many markers, and I try to play as much as I can, but life happens. Like O-rings don't really wear out very fast in any of my markers or anything like that, so I don't really have to replace any. I have a ton of O-rings for rebuild kits and stuff, like for any of the markers I have, just because I don't want to have to wait for anything in the mail if something does go wrong. But I made kits. I don't know if you can see them. Let's see. They're all in those like plastic containers, bunch of parts. All right, bolt is lubed. Locked in. Grab that battery that was already in there. Pop that in. Pop that front grip on, and then turn the marker on. It's going to be an NXL 10.2. We would grab the muffler. The loud sound scares my dog. Probably scares most dogs. Although some dogs might start barking, but mine just kind of runs away. And then, oh yeah, and I did mention, I always do put just a few drops of marker oil, like 3 little drops in there just to get through in there. It's never enough to actually go to the bolt or anything. But so this is my first strike, 8845. I don't even know when it's due for hydro. Let's look. 2022, 5 years from there. So May of 27. No leaks. Leaks are the absolute, other than dirty grips, leaking marker is just like detrimental to me. I cannot stand leaking marker. Nowadays it's not as often that happens, just because the design of markers are so simple now, and most are all spool valves. So it's just like, one of those O-rings is leaking, just replace it. Unless it's obviously the reg. You know, there's always that bleed hole that people always post like online. It's leaking from here, what do I do? And you know, just pop this off. Well, obviously with no airs on it, you take out these 2 screws and then pull off the ASA and then pull out your the reg pin, basically. Get that spring out of there, and then that one big O-ring that's on there, it's usually like a 15 or 16 or something on there. Just replace that, put a little lube on there, and then put it back together, and you're good to go. If you maintain any paintball marker, with care, as you would with anything, well, I hope you would, but they'll last forever. You know, there's people that have old markers that have been around forever. Like I have in my autococker that has an outcast body, it actually has a valve from a 2000 autococker in it. You know, it was when it was side feed. You know, the feed tube came off the side. But anyway, here we go. Works, no issues, no leaks. My reg's cracked, or my gauge is cracked. 3,000 pounds in there. But yeah. These markers are, you know, all playing clips are really nice, but I don't know. If you haven't shot a 180, I'd at least recommend, because the ergonomics to me are great. So that's my 2 cents of the 180R. That's why I have 2 of them. Although I have 2 Field 1 Forces. The only thing I don't have is 2 LV2s. You know, other than the old markers, like I do have 2 excessive egos, but that's because of the excessive ego. You know, they were like all milled out, the best design of an ego back in the day. All right, so that's good. I am going to take the battery out of this because I don't know when the next time I'm going to use this marker or even play, probably in a week or 2. I just have some things happening this month, otherwise it's back to action on the weekends, either Saturday or Sunday. So we'll just pop that out. There we go. So yeah, guys, that is just a quick cleanup. Like I said, it wasn't very dirty, so I don't have to do a whole lot. Sometimes if you get shot in the frame, I'll pop off my frame and get the paint out of there and everything like that. But this one is all good. There wasn't much dirt. I didn't get shot in it, so there wasn't much to do. It just was a quick cleanup, quick and fast. So thanks for watching. You'll see the next video of whatever gun I clean, marker, excuse me. Trying to keep it you know, politically correct and safe now that paintball's on like ESPN and stuff. That's gonna be great for the sport. You know, I mentioned before, these are paintball markers. Yes. Does it look like a gun? Yes. Does it shoot a projectile? Yes. But it is paintball marker. You are marking things with it. Yes. Do we play with them and mark each other? Yes. But to get away from that bad vibe of, oh, it's guns this, guns that, you know, let's try and paintball marker. I mean, Facebook even freaks out and stuff like that when you gotta blur the trigger. It's so stupid, but just my 2 cents. But yeah, anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next one of the cleaning. Also, I'm gonna start posting biking videos. I have a Quiet Cat Jeep e-bike, and I want to start filming some videos and post those on my channel too, hence the name Paint and Wheels. If anyone was ever wondering why it's called that, paint for the paintball and wheels for my bike. I just haven't had any time to post a video for the wheels portion of the channel. But cool. Thanks for watching. See you guys next one.